Hi friends, welcome to LKS Anatomy classes. Today we are going to discuss about the humerus bone. We go through the contents, general features, parts, surfaces, site determination, muscle attachments and nerve supply of humerus bone. General features of humerus bone. It is the longest and largest bone of upper limb. It has upper end, lower end and shaft. In upper end, head which is medially backwards and upwards, and it articulates with the glenoid cavity of scapula to form shoulder joint. See in this following diagram, it is medially backwards and upwards, and it articulates with the glenoid cavity of scapula to form glenohumeral joint. The line separating the head from rest of upper end is called anatomical neck. See in this diagram, this line is called anatomical neck. The lesser tubercle is an elevation on the anterior aspect of upper end, and greater tubercle is an elevation which form lateral part of upper end. See in this diagram, lesser tubercle which is seen anterior aspect and greater tubercle seen laterally. The intertubercular sulcus, which is also called as bicipital groove, it separates lesser tubercle from the greater tubercle. See in this diagram, between this lesser tubercle and greater tubercle there is a sulcus called as intertubercle sulcus or bicipital groove. The narrow line separating the upper end of humerus from shaft is called surgical neck. See in this diagram, surgical neck separates the upper end of shaft and head of the humerus. Lower end, articular parts of lower end. Capitulum, a rounded projection which articulates with the head of radius. See, it's a rounded projection. It articulates with the head of radius. Trochlea, it is pulley shaped surface, articulates with the trochlear surface of ulna, mid edge of project 6 millimeter downwards to form the carry angle. See, it is a pulley shaped. It is pulley shaped, which articulates with the trochlear notch of ulna. Non-articular parts. Medial epicondyle, prominent bony projection on the lower side medial lip. Subcutaneous and easily felt by palpation. Lateral epicondyle, smaller than medial epicondyle and has a muscular impression. Lateral supracondylar ridge and medial supracondylar ridge, which are seen on lateral side and middle side respectively. Coronoid fossa, it is a depression just above the anterior aspect of trochlea, which accommodates with coronoid process of ulna when elbow is flexed. Radial fossa, it is also a depression just above the anterior aspect of capitulum, accommodates with the head of radius when elbow is flexed. Olecranon fossa, depression just above the posterior aspect of trachea, accommodates with olecranon process of ulna when elbow is extended. In this following diagram, you can see the all parts clearly. It is a lateral supracondylar ridge and medial supracondylar ridge. Radial fossa, it's a radial fossa, it's a depression, and lateral epicondyle, capitulum, rounded projection, trochlea, pulley shaped, coronoid fossa, It's a depression, medial epicondyle, which is seen on medial side, and medial supracondylar ridge. Shaft. Shaft is rounded, upper of and triangular in, lower of contains three borders and three surfaces. Anterior border. Upper one third forms the lateral rib of intertubercular sulcus. Middle part forms the anterior region of delta tuberosity. Lower of is smooth and rounded. See in this diagram. Upper one third forms the lateral rib of intertubercular sulcus, and medial forms the anterior region of delta tuberosity. Lower one is rounded. Lateral border. It is prominent only in the lower region where it forms lateral supracondylar ridge. In the middle it is interrupted by a radial groove. In this area, lateral border. Medial border forms the medial lip of intertubercular sulcus, rough through its middle and continuous below with the medial supracondylar ridge. Surfaces. Anterolateral surface between anterior and lateral borders. Upper of is covered by the deltoid. A little above it is marked by a V-shaped deltoid tuberosity. Radial groove runs downwards and forwards across the surface. Anterior-medial surface between anterior and medial border. Upper end is narrow and forms floor of the intertubercular sulcus. A nutrient foramen is seen near the medial border. Posterior surface which is present between medial and lateral borders. Upper part is marked by an oblique ridge and lower end is crossed by a radial groove. Side determination of humerus. Upper end is rounded. See in the diagram, upper end is rounded. Lower end is expanded from side to side and flattened from before backwards. It is expanded side to side. Head directed posterior and medially upwards. It is directed posteriorly backwards and upwards. Lesser tubercle projects from the front of the upper end and is limited laterally by the intertubercular sulcus. Muscle attachments of the upper end. Muscle attachments. Lesser tubercle provides incision to the subscapularis muscle. Greater tubercle has three impressions. Uppermost impression which provides incision to the supraspinatus, and middle impression provides incision to infraspinatus, and lower impression provides incision to teres minor muscle. See in this following diagram, you can clearly see uppermost impression for supraspinatus, middle impression for infraspinatus, and lower impression for teres major muscle. Teres minor muscle. Intertubercular sulcus provides incision to pectoralis major muscle on lateral lip. See in this diagram, pectoralis major muscle and the lateral side of the humerus. Latissimus dorsi muscle is inserted on the floor of intertubercular sulcus, and a teres major muscle is inserted on the medial lip of intertubercular sulcus. See in this diagram, pectoralis major muscle and lateral lip of intertubercular sulcus and teres major on medial lip of intertubercular sulcus and latissimus dorsi on the floor of intertubercular sulcus. There is a mnemonic to remember this: a lady between two majors, pectoralis major and teres major. Deltoid tuberosity provides incision to the deltoid muscle. See here, deltoid tuberosity provides incision to deltoid muscle. Medial border insertion of coracobrachialis muscle. See here, coracobrachialis on medial border. Shaft of humerus brachialis arises from the lower halves of anterior medial and anterior lateral surface of shaft of humerus. You can see in this diagram. Anterior medial surface as well as anterior lateral surface. Muscle attachments of lower end. Lateral supracondylar ridge provides origin to brachioradialis muscle on upper two-thirds and extensor carpi radialis longus on lower one-third. See in this diagram. Brachioradialis and extensor carpi radialis. Brachioradialis is on upper two-third of lateral supracondylar ridge and extensor carpi radialis on lower one-third. Medial supracondylar ridge provides origin to humeral head of pronator teres on lower one-third. See in this diagram, pronator teres, lower one-third on medial supracondylar ridge. Lateral epicondyle ancuneus arises from the posterior surface of lateral epicondyle. So here you can see in this diagram, posterior aspect on medial epicondyle. Radial groove, lateral head of triceps brachii arises from the oblique ridge on the upper part of posterior surface above the radial groove, while its medial head arises from the posterior surface below radial groove. You can see in this following diagram, lateral head of triceps, medial head of triceps. This medial epicondyle provides origin to common flexor muscles and lateral epicondyle provides origin to common extensor or muscles. Nerve supply. There are three nerves directly related to the humerus: axillary nerve at the surgical neck, radial nerve at the radial groove, ulnar nerve behind the medial epicondyle. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe LKS Anatomy classes.